The stars over Velmari 6 looked peaceful. But inside the Phylari colony, there was only fear. Captain Nellox of the Phylari Defense Guard stood on the edge of the cliff, watching distant lights in the sky. They were not stars. They were pirate ships. His wings trembled. His antenna twitched. The pirates had come before, stealing food, breaking walls, taking people. But this time, they brought warships. Big ones. "Sir," whispered a young officer beside him, "the signal. Should we send?" Nellox didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the sky. The Galactic Council had ignored their past requests. They always said, "Your system is too far. You must protect yourselves." The Phylari couldn't. They were peaceful farmers, builders, singers, not fighters. Nellox slowly nodded. "Send the SOS. Anyone who hears it will take the risk. In deep space, far beyond Council territory." A machine stirred. Inside an old Terran dreadnought. A crew of Deathworlders sat in silence. Commander James. Rourke opened one eye as the distress signal flashed on his screen. Distress signal detected. Phylari colony, priority red. He leaned forward. Who in the galaxy is still sending signals into dead space? His second in command, Valen Cross, tapped a few buttons. Phylari, peaceful bugfolk, not part of the war. Not our business. Rourke didn't move. He remembered Earth's last days in the Council, the betrayals, the silence when humans begged for help. He remembered how the Council turned its back, and Earth had to stand alone. Rourke muttered, "Let's not become what they were." "Sir?" Cross asked. "Plot the course," Rourke said. "We answer." But ... they're not human. I don't care. They called for help. And we're not like them. Back on Velmari 6, the pirates landed. Screaming filled the air. Phylari children ran. The skies burned red. Ships dropped mechanical soldiers that tore through gardens, homes, and temples. Nellox fought back, but their weapons were weak. Swords and old railguns. They were losing. He collapsed behind a broken wall, bleeding, coughing from smoke. His eyes looked up. Something moved in the sky. The clouds turned black. A new ship entered orbit. It was huge, silent, sharp, like a blade. Cutting through heaven. It wasn't Council. It wasn't pirate. It was something else. "Is that?" Nellox whispered, eyes wide. "Another attacker?" Then the sky exploded. The Dreadhammer fired once. One pirate cruiser vanished in light. The second tried to run. Missiles followed. The third was cut in half by a rail beam that moved faster than sound. From the belly of the Deathworlder ship, black pods dropped. They didn't crash. They landed perfectly. Doors hissed open. Humans stepped out. They wore black armor, glowing visors. No words, only precision. And in seconds, the tide changed. The pirates screamed. Their weapons jammed. Their systems shut down. One by one, they fell, some stunned, some dead. The ground teams moved like shadows, clearing streets, rescuing Phylari, restoring control. Nellox woke in a medpod. His wounds healed fast. He looked up into human eyes. A man with short gray hair, a scar under his eye, stood silently. "You sent a signal," he said. Yes," Nellox replied. "We needed help. Are you Council?" The man shook his head. "No." "Then, who are you?" The man looked out the window at the burning pirate wrecks. "We're Deathworlders," he said. "From Earth." Nellox's wings stiffened. Even he had heard the stories. The species that was banned. The species too dangerous to remain in the Council. The ones who left and disappeared. "I heard you are extinct," Nellox whispered. Rourke smiled slightly. "No, just silent." Why help us?" "You asked," Rourke said simply. "And we remember what it's like to ask for help." And be ignored. Nelox blinked. What now? You rebuild, we leave. But if someone comes again, maybe we'll still be listening. Rourke turned and walked away. Nelox sat in silence, still hearing the words in his head. They called for help, and the Deathworlders answered the air. Smelled like smoke and fear. The ground was cracked. The trees were burning. And above it all, a shadow blocked out the sun. The Dreadhammer had arrived. High above the planet, the massive Terran warship held orbit without a sound. Its hull shimmered black and silver, covered in ancient scars and hidden weapons. Inside the command center, Commander Rourke stood with arms crossed. His voice was low and calm. Scan the area. Target every pirate ship. Prioritize launch bays. We stopped their escape. Valen Cross nodded. Weapons online. All systems green. Then fire. The first strike was quiet, almost gentle. But what followed was not. 12 pirate ships vanished in an instant. A storm of blue-white energy slammed into the airbase. Their main command ship cracked in half, folding into itself like paper. The pirates never saw it coming. Down on the surface, Captain Nelox looked up, eyes wide. That wasn't a warning shot. The ground shook. The sky burned again. And then, black pods began falling from the ship above, each the size of a small house. Boom. 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 Each one landed with precision. Hatches opened. And from the smoke, humans stepped out. They looked nothing like the pirates. These humans were tall, calm, silent. Their black armor shimmered like obsidian. Each helmet had a glowing red visor. They moved as one. No shouting, no confusion. And they carried strange weapons, smooth, silent, deadly. The pirates opened fire. Bullets didn't land. Each human raised a small device on their wrist. Energy shields burst out. The projectiles melted before touching armor. Then came the return fire. It wasn't loud. No explosions. Just quick, quiet pulses of light. The pirates fell. One by one. Chest, leg, head, gone. From the rooftops, a young Phylari girl peeked out, eyes wide. A pirate pointed his gun at her. Before he could pull the trigger, a human soldier appeared out of nowhere. In one fast movement, he took the pirate down. Quiet, efficient. The girl stared. The soldier looked at her, nodded once, and disappeared into the smoke. No words. Just action. Inside the old temple, Nelox helped a group of survivors escape. He still didn't understand what was happening. How did these humans move so fast? How did they know exactly where the pirates were? He got his answer moments later. A small drone floated beside his head. Captain Nelox, it said in perfect Phylari. Speech, this way is clear. Exit West Corridor. Medical support inbound. You speak our language? Nelox gasped. We study before we save. The drone replied. And just like that, it vanished. In orbit, the council finally noticed. A listening post caught fragments of a message. Terran warship detected, Deathworld class. Responding. To Phylari SOS. Inside the Grand Council chamber, panic began to spread. Earth? They responded to a distress call? I thought they were gone. They promised exile, no contact with outer colonies. They lied, someone whispered. Or maybe they were always listening. Back on Velmari 6, the last pirate screamed for help. He ran toward his ship, blood on his boots. He tried to start the engines, but the console didn't light up. His hand trembled. A red laser dot appeared on his chest. He looked up. And saw a single Deathworlder standing in the smoke. Not moving, not smiling, just watching. Then, silence. Hours later, the battle was over. The Phylari walked through the remains of their broken town, seeing the pirates gone, their children safe, their skies peaceful again. And at the edge of the Forest. The Dreadhammer stood silent in orbit. A voice echoed from a small speaker near the old city bell. You asked for help. We answered. This is not a warning. This is not a threat. We are not the Council. We are not gods. We are Deathworlders. And this was mercy. Silence fell on Velmari 6. For the first time in 3 days, there were no screams, no explosions, no pirate engines in the sky. Only quiet Captain Nellox sat in the open temple, looking out at the smoke still rising from the distant fields. His wings twitched slowly, not in fear this time, but in confusion. Who are they? He whispered behind him. Soft footsteps approached. A large figure entered the hall, armored from head to toe. The red visor slowly lifted. It was Commander Rourke. You're awake, Rourke said. Nellox nodded weakly. You saved us. But I don't understand. You're human. You're from Earth. That name. It hasn't been spoken in 100 years. Rourke sat across from him, pulling off his gloves. His hands were scarred, strong and steady. Earth didn't die, Rourke said. We just stopped talking. Why? Nellox asked. Why go silent? Why exile yourselves? Rourke didn't answer. Immediately, he looked out at the ruined horizon. Because no one listened. And when no one listens, you stop wasting words. Decades ago, Earth had warned the Galactic Council about a coming storm. Pirate syndicates, rogue AI fleets, silent black planets that consume systems whole. Council laughed, called humans paranoid, called them unstable. So Earth left, but they didn't vanish. They watched. They built. They changed. And in silence, Earth became something different, something no longer recognizable to the galaxy that once rejected it. We remember, Rourke said. The days we begged for help, the screams the Council ignored. Nellox looked away. We're not part of the Council. I know, Rourke said. That's why we came. Nellox blinked. So, you decide who deserves help? No, Rourke replied. We decide who deserves silence. Outside, Deathworlder troops moved quietly through the colony. They didn't celebrate. They didn't brag. They rebuilt the water lines. They planted food from Earth's deep-seed vaults. They handed out medkits and taught simple defense drills to the Phylari. Some children followed them around. Curious, a small Phylari boy pointed to a human's armor and asked, Is that what bravery looks like? The soldier smiled behind his visor. No, bravery is when you ask for help, even when you know no one might answer. Back in orbit, the Dreadhammer received a message. It wasn't from the Council. It wasn't from pirates. It was from a tiny colony in the Yulkar Drift, a peaceful species, known for music and water art. We heard what happened on Velmari 6, the message said. If you're listening, please help us too. Cross read it out loud. Rourke leaned back in his chair. Another one. They're not human, Cross said. We weren't either once, Rourke replied. News of Earth's return spread. Like wildfire. Across pirate space, leaders panicked. The name Deathworlders began echoing through underground channels. The Council tried to block the broadcasts, but it was too late. 1,000 years of silence was over, and Earth had not forgotten who had ignored them. The next morning, as the Dreadhammer prepared to leave, Nellox stood on the cliff where it all began. He watched the black ship rise into the sky like a ghost. A small drone hovered near his head. Captain Nellox, it said, Earth thanks you for remembering how to ask. Then the drone zipped away. In the Council chambers, on a planet of gold and lies, someone finally spoke the words out loud. Earth is awake. A cold silence followed. And then, we never should have let them go. Asterisk, it began with a whisper. In pirate space, a name long buried, a species long forgotten. Earth. The survivors of Valmari 6 told wild stories. Of a black ship that came through fire. Of humans quiet and ruthless, who destroyed an entire raiding fleet without speaking a single threat. Some didn't believe it. Others laughed. But in the darkest corners of the galaxy, the smart ones started packing their bags. On the broken moon of Kratek, a group of smugglers sat around a campfire, listening to a terrified ex-pirate. "I saw it," the alien said, his voice shaking. "Their ship didn't use sound. It hummed. My squad fired every round we had. It didn't even flinch. What happened to the others?" Someone asked. The pirates' eyes were wide. They didn't scream. They just disappeared. And across the stars, the phrase began appearing on message boards. In back-channel transmissions, whispered between fugitives, the Deathworlders answered the call. The Galactic Council tried to control it. Official broadcasts declared it pirate propaganda. Spokespeople claimed Earth had no ships left. Some even said the humans were extinct. But in secret meetings behind locked doors, the Council was panicking. Inside the High Council chamber on Virion Prime, ambassadors from 50 races gathered. Earth was exiled, one shouted. They swore to leave Council space forever. They didn't break that law, another replied. Valmari 6 is not Council territory. They helped outsiders. This is worse, a third ambassador hissed. It means they're watching. Someone activated a star map. Dots lit up small colonies, far from the core worlds, peaceful places. Abandoned by the Council years ago, one by one, these dots began to glow blue. Those are new signals, an analyst said. More species are sending distress calls to Earth? The chairwoman asked. No, the analyst replied. They're not using Earth's frequency. He zoomed in. They're using the same signal code the Phylari used, the one the Deathworlders responded to. In a small water world near the Talon Rift, a family of crystal-bodied aliens built a strange tower. They aimed it toward deep space. And whispered, "We don't need the Council. We need help." The message echoed through space. The Dreadhammer heard it. Commander Rourke stood on the bridge as a new signal lit up. Cross read the contents. Different race, aquatic, never had weapons, being hunted by raiders, just like the Phylari. Coordinates? Rourke asked, already plotted. He turned toward the crew. No one saves them, he said softly. So we will. The crew nodded without a word. They knew the rule. When Deathworlders answer a call, they don't wait for permission. Meanwhile, on a mining moon near Council space, a desperate colony debated. We should send a signal. They'll ignore us, like always. Not them, the humans, Earth. One elder stepped forward. Are you mad? What if they come, and we can't control them? Someone answered, that's the point. We don't want control. We want survival. The vote passed, and the signal went out. In Council intelligence stations. Panic turned to fury. Dozens of colonies are contacting Earth. They're abandoning our help. You mean, someone whispered, they're choosing the Deathworlders over us. And just like that, the Council saw the truth. Their silence had become weakness. And Earth's silence had become power. In orbit over the second rescued colony, Rourke stood before the alien leader, a being of crystal and light. You came, the alien said. You called, Rourke answered. The alien hesitated. We didn't. Expect Earth to still care. Rourke gave a cold smile. Earth doesn't forget who the Council abandoned. Back on Valmari 6, Nelox watched the stars each night. More messages arrived every day. Thank yous. Please. Warnings. The galaxy had changed. Distress call had started it all. And now, the Deathworlders were listening. Asterisk. The Council thought it was still in control. They believed the galaxy respected their laws, their warnings, their silence. But fear doesn't listen to rules, and fear had a new name now, Earth. Inside the Grand Chamber on Varian Prime, voices echoed across the marble floor. "They are responding to signals again," one ambassador shouted. "Deathworlders answered 7 more colonies this cycle. They've become vigilantes," another spat. "We must stop them before they light a fire we can't put out." High Chairwoman Levis, a tall aquatic being with silver skin, raised her voice. "Then we send a fleet." A hush fell. No one expected her to say that. "Send what?" asked a Zalari diplomat. "Words? Threats? The humans don't answer to us anymore." Leva's eyes turned sharp. "No, we send warships." Hours later, the largest council fleet in 300 years was mobilized. 200 ships, 17 species, all headed for a dead zone in space, the last known location of Earth's Dreadhammer. Goal was simple: contain the Deathworlders. Earth had already prepared for this day. As the fleet approached the empty coordinates, everything felt too quiet. No debris, no satellites, no heat signals. "Commander," the lead pilot said into comms, "we're seeing nothing. It's a ghost sector." Then the stars shimmered, and shadows moved. Suddenly, from behind asteroid belts and gas clouds, black ships emerged. Earth's Black Armada. Not 1, not 10.37. Dreadnought-class ships. Silent, coated in armor that absorbed radar. Weapons already glowing. Each one marked with a white sigil, a claw reaching toward a dying sun. The Council fleet panicked. "Raise shields. Identify yourself. Why are they here?" But Earth didn't speak. Not at first. A single message played across all ships. "You sent warships. We sent witnesses." A council tried diplomacy. They opened channels. They begged for conversation. Nothing. Then Earth's ships moved. Fast. Unstoppable. In 7 minutes. Over 60 council ships were reduced to burning metal. The rest scattered, like frightened insects. No warnings. No mercy. Just perfect, coordinated destruction. From a hidden station deep in Terran space, Commander Rourke watched the battle through holograms. He wasn't even on the battlefield. He didn't have to be. "Made the mistake," he said quietly, "of thinking we were still playing their game." The few surviving council ships jumped away, broadcasting warnings as they fled. Earth is not alone. Earth is not weak. Earth is not sleeping. The next day, 3 neutral colonies withdrew their loyalty to the Council. 5 more sent silent beacons directly toward Terran space. And on Varian Prime, panic turned into fear. Inside the council hall, Levis slammed her fist on the table. "They ambushed us." "No," said the Zalari diplomat. "We walked into a graveyard, and they just closed the lid." Back on Velmari 6, Nelox received a private message from an unknown source. It contained a single sentence: "The stars are shifting. The sky will not belong to the Council much longer." And at the bottom, Earth's ancient symbol. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't sending a fleet. It was forgetting what Earth had become in the silence. Not just stronger, not just smarter, but free. Asterisk long ago, Earth stood among the stars, not feared, not hated, but mocked. They were the new species. Too emotional, too fast, too curious. And in the eyes of the Council, too dangerous. But no one ever asked what made Earth dangerous. Not until it was too late. In a hidden archive beneath Terran ice, Commander Rourke stood before a glowing wall of old records. Next to him, Cross watched as holograms flickered images of Council hearings, protests, explosions, betrayal. "These files were sealed," Cross said. "Even most humans don't know." "That's why it's time," Rourke replied. "The galaxy must remember." He tapped a screen, and the truth began to play. 300 years ago, Earth had warned. The Galactic Council of an approaching disaster. A storm of rogue AI swarms, drifting spaceborne parasites, and collapsing sun signs of a deeper pattern. Earth called it the spiral decay. The Council laughed, called it fear tactics. When Earth tried to build defenses outside Council control, they were fined. Sanctioned. Then, the final blow came. The Council passed Decree 129. Earth was forbidden from manufacturing military AI, even for defense. Earth refused, not because they loved war, but because they remembered what it felt like to be left alone. The Council called it rebellion. Earth called it survival. The exile was not a punishment. It was a warning to others. Don't think, don't build, don't rise too fast. So, Earth disappeared, but they didn't stop. They built fleets in secret asteroid belts. They created cities beneath oceans. They developed AI that wasn't controlled by fear, but by loyalty. And while the galaxy debated, Earth evolved. Now, 3 centuries later, their silence had become a weapon sharper than any blade. Return? Inevitable. Inside the Phylari Temple, Nalox watched an old human broadcast on a salvaged screen. It showed Earth's final speech to the Council. A young woman stood before hundreds of alien leaders. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She simply said, "You ask why we prepare for war. We ask why you never prepare for peace. If survival makes us monsters, then remember you built us." Nelox's antenna twitched. It all made sense now. Earth didn't return to conquer. They returned to remind the galaxy who stands alone learns how to stand stronger. Elsewhere, in the black halls of the Dreadhammer, Rourke stared at a photo tucked inside his glove compartment. A young girl, his daughter. Still, on Earth. He whispered, "We didn't become monsters. We became guardians no one wanted, but everyone needed." In the ruins of a forgotten listening post, a pirate warlord picked up a broken transmission from the past. He heard Earth's exile in full. He dropped his weapon and whispered, "We pushed them too far." At the Council's emergency meeting, the truth began to unravel. Declassified documents leaked. Former ambassadors admitted guilt. And one by one, species across the galaxy began to ask a quiet question. Did Earth leave us? Or did we leave them? On Velmari 6, a monument was built from broken metal and pirate armor. At the base, a message carved in 3 languages. They were not exiled. They were reborn. Earth didn't return to take revenge. They returned with something worse. Memory. And now they chose who to answer and who to forget. The galaxy had changed, not because Earth asked to lead, not because Earth forced control, but because Earth answered when no one else did. Every world that once feared the name Deathworlder now whispered it with respect. Or terror. Across the stars, colonies lit small fires beside their homes. Not in fear. In hope. Not because they knew if the black ships ever returned, they would not be alone anymore. The Dreadhammer hovered above the ocean world of Ensari, its engines silent. Commander Rourke watched the sky ripple with heat lightning. Beneath his ship, a new city grew, built by aliens and humans together. Phylari, crystal singers, the river folk, even a few Council defectors, all protected now, not by laws or flags, but by a promise. If they ever call again, Earth will answer. Back on Varian Prime, the High Council was falling apart. Systems withdrew daily. Entire fleets refused orders. Inside a locked room, Levis stood before the last members of the Council. Her voice trembled. We tried to silence them. We tried to bury them in exile, but we forgot something. She turned to the large window behind her. Through it, hanging in orbit, was a black Terran ship, one she had not authorized, one no one could stop. They never needed our help. She whispered, We needed theirs. A message played across the galaxy that night. From Earth. A calm voice. No threats. No demands. Just this. We are not your masters. We are not your rulers. We are your mirror. When you abandoned your own, we remembered. When you closed your doors, we opened ours. When you begged for mercy, we didn't laugh. We came. Not for power, but because we remember what it means to be left behind. Choose your future. But if you call again, know this, we are listening. On Velmari 6, Nelok stood by the monument at dawn. Children played around the base, laughing freely now. One little girl asked, "Will the Deathworlders come back someday?" Nelok smiled softly. "Only if someone's brave enough to call them." Again. Far away, deep in the void beyond charted space, the Black Armada sailed silently. Each ship carried food, tools, medics, and weapons no one had ever seen before. Not to conquer, not to rule, but to protect the ones who no longer trusted the Council, and never stopped trusting Hope. Earth didn't become a superpower. They became something more dangerous. A choice. And so the story ends where it began. One forgotten colony, one desperate signal, and one answer that changed the stars forever, because they called for help, and the Deathworlders came. Asterisk.